I had a lot of fun, man. It's a blessing, you know. A lot of people from where I'm from.
I play the night and just go in there and try to take care of the football and execute. And other than that, it's just fun to be out there.
This is probably going to be my final video on the New England Patriots for a fairly long time. And it's nothing against them. It's just, it seems like their roadmap and their path for the entire season is 100% clear. And it's not necessarily a bad one by any means. Before we get to the content, we're giving away copies of Madden 25. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and turn on our notifications. And now that we get all that out of the way, work! NFL season's finally here, and PrizePicks is hooking us up fat with a brand new deal. New users that make a lineup of $5 get $50 guaranteed. All you have to do is go to the link in the description down below, download PrizePicks, create an account, and use my promo code Mikerophone to get $50 guaranteed when you make a lineup of $5 or more. I give away my picks each and every day on my Instagram account @TheFlightMike, and thank you PrizePicks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? If you're a fan of this channel for long enough, you'd know that the very first thing I wanted from the New England Patriots from the offseason was to hold on to Mac Jones. And it's not because I think Mac Jones is a good QB at all. It's more because I felt like this team had so many pressing needs across the board that they really shouldn't take their signal caller of the future until they address those needs. I'm a huge fan of the Chicago Bears rebuild, where you have a bridge quarterback in place while you try to address the needs that your team has. And once you get some key pieces and make some good trades and accumulate assets, that's when you can take your signal caller of the future. And in the case of the Chicago Bears, that's exactly what they did. They had the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. They traded that for DJ Moore, multiple first-round picks, one of which becoming the #1 pick in this year's NFL draft. By that point, they already made trades for Montez Sweat. They made another trade for Keenan Allen. They signed DeAndre Swift in the offseason to establish some sort of a running game. They brought in an offensive coordinator that helped Geno Smith rebound, and they were set on taking Caleb Williams #1 overall. Luckily for them, one of the things that Caleb Williams had going for him was he was considered to be very NFL ready. But that's typically the way I'd like to see a rebuild done. Build up the pieces around the QB and then draft a QB. What shouldn't be done is what the Carolina Panthers did, which is gutting out your roster for a quarterback right away. Because at least in the case of the Bears, you have 5 years where Caleb Williams is getting paid a below market contract. So your window of contention is wide open right now. And if Caleb Williams lives up to the hype, it should be for the next 5 years. Now, in the case of the New England Patriots, I wanted them to do essentially what the Bears did with Justin Fields, only with Mac Jones. And the thing that was infuriating was that the New England Patriots had an offer for the #3 overall pick. The New York Giants were very interested in moving up to #3 overall, and they were even willing to give up their 2025 first-round pick in order to make the jump from #6 to #3, which in my opinion, no offense Giants fans, I think a Giants first-round pick would be very, very valuable. Considering that they're the worst team in the NFC East, they don't really have a good chance of making the playoffs unless if we see a huge surprise. And aside from Malik Neighbors, this team hasn't made many upgrades throughout the offseason. But not only did the Patriots have an offer from the New York Giants, but they also had an offer from the Minnesota Vikings, who had multiple first-round picks in this NFL draft alone. And they turned that down as well in order to take Drake Maye with the #3 overall pick. And since everyone's obsessed with what the Green Bay Packers did with Jordan Love, you know, how he sat down behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 seasons, balled out in his 4th season, and then got paid as the highest paid QB in the NFL after a full season of starting, well, it seems like the Patriots are doing the same thing with Drake Maye. It's kind of crazy how many teams are obsessed with this philosophy. I mean, the Cowboys traded for Trey Lance, hoping that they could pass the torch on to him someday. The Falcons drafted Michael Penix way too early in the top 10 in hopes of one day having him become the starter. I'm a fan of having quarterbacks sit down for a year, but there were much more pressing needs for the New England Patriots. But regardless, the Patriots did everything they possibly could in order to try to get additional weapons for their prospective QB. They went after Calvin Ridley before Calvin Ridley said,
I don't want to go there.
They went after Brandon Ayuk, but Brandon Ayuk would rather get paid significantly less than the $32 million a year the Patriots offered to play for them. Even furthermore, we heard reports that Drake Maye has been struggling throughout training camp, which kind kind of makes the pick even more questionable because I understand what the philosophy is. Have Drake Maye sit down for a year, hopefully eventually plug him in and he's going to be the next coming of Tom Brady or whatever. But just take a look at this report from a week ago. Drake Maye has had rough moments, to be sure, but New England Patriots people attribute that to him running with the second team and how the team's offensive line depth issue has really shown up with that group. What's impressed his coaches most is how good of a processor he is on the field. He can go in his progression from 1 to 2 to 3 really fast, and he even threw a touchdown pass to his fourth read in the red zone drills the other day. He sees things right away, and his footwork has come a long way as well. Literally sounds like what Mac Jones would have been, but okay. Now look, Drake Maye has had some very nice highlights in training camp as well, and Javon Baker has reportedly been a revelation as well in training camp. But of course, we know that the Patriots also recently cut Juju Smith-Schuster, so at this point, you're starting to get an idea of what this season's going to look like, especially with Jacoby Brissett as the starter. So with that being said, all eyes were on the New England Patriots during their very first preseason to see how things were going to shake out. What was their plan? How much was Drake Maye actually going to play? And it seems like we got the answer. If you take a look at the top rookie QBs since 2021 and how many snaps they've played in the preseason opener, you have Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and JJ McCarthy at the very top, which by the way, let me know if you want another video on JJ McCarthy because his preseason debut was awesome. You have Will Levis right underneath that before you dip into the 20s with Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson, and Michael Penix, who also had a pretty solid debut. Caleb Williams had 20, Trevor Lawrence had 15, Jaden Daniels had 12, and Drake Maye had about half of that. Drake Maye had 7 snaps. And of course, everyone's been talking about how much Joe Milton balled out in that preseason game. And we're gonna get to Joe Milton on just a sec, but let's talk about how Drake Maye only had 7 snaps and went 2 of 3 for 19 yards. So what is this supposed to mean? Because when Joe Milton came in, the man absolutely balled out. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. He was able to improvise on the fly in his debut. He has a cannon of an arm. He rushed for 25 yards on 2 scrambles. He had a 38-yard touchdown pass. And some fans are even saying that they want to see Joe Milton start over Drake Maye or Joe Milton get moved up the depth chart over Drake Maye. First things first, let's discuss the level of competition these two faced off against, shall we? Joe Milton went up against 3rd, 4th, and 5th stringers. Drake Maye went up against the first team. Furthermore, there's a gigantic age gap between the two. Joe Milton's 24 years old and Drake Maye just gained the ability to drink. So what's very telling about the very first preseason game that we got from Drake Maye is the fact that you can tell that the Patriots probably aren't going to play Drake Maye throughout the entire season. I don't think this is going to be a situation where Gerard Mayo's seat is going to get hot and he's going to be pushed to make a change in the middle of the season either. The New England Patriots play in one of the most competitive divisions in football. And there's no question about it, each and every other team in their division is significantly better than them. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, there's like no chance that the Patriots make it into the playoffs via a wild card spot. This team has a lot of holes in their roster, and it seems like this year is just going to be a culture setting year and a development year for Drake Maye. The way he's brought along is going to be very important. It's going to be a make or break year for Drake Maye, and the worst part is we're never going to really see the progress he makes. I personally don't know how I feel about this philosophy. I personally don't know if I agreed with this route. I really don't think it was necessary to hold on to the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft and then select Drake Maye just to have him ride the bench for a year or two while you try to figure out other aspects of your offense. I would have liked to see the Patriots trade down to number 6 and get an additional 1st round pick and maybe select Malik Neighbors and then have that additional 2025 1st round pick for the event that maybe Daniel Jones continues to suck this year. I would have liked to see the Patriots get additional 1st round picks from Minnesota and focus on other aspects of their offense. But this is the path that they took, and I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about it. I don't necessarily know if it's going to result in tremendous team success. I think out of every team selected in the 1st round of the NFL draft, the player that has been placed in the strangest and most questionable situation is Drake Maye. Again, Caleb Williams has a star-studded offense. Jaden Daniels has Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, and Austin Eckler, has a great defense, and at least improvements were made to that offensive line as well. JJ McCarthy gets to throw the football to Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson. So that just leaves Drake Maye and Bo Nix in the strangest situations, and at least Bo Nix is a little bit more pro-ready than Drake Maye, so I don't understand selecting a developmental QB with the number 3 overall pick. You have more pressing needs on your team. This isn't to hate on Drake Maye at all whatsoever. whatever. I'm just trying to remain objective in my analysis here. I just don't understand why the Patriots did this. But maybe someone else gets it and I don't. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.